Welcome to the series of Walking in Balance, and we're going to highlight the wisdom of the deer in this series. And I've always admired the deer for so many things, so I'll talk about that through the series. But let's get started right now with a warm-up for walking. And we're going to be looking at balance in many different lights. But in order to walk with balance, be light on your feet like the deer. We're going to work with the wall today. And so I've got this set up here where I'm going to be having my feet on the wall, and you can use a wall, a door, a flat door, a cabinet, and if you want to put a thin sock on or something like that, you want to be able to feel your feet and move your feet easily. You can be barefoot is fine. You probably want to have clean feet. And a little blanket or pad on the floor is nice, and maybe a towel that you can fold to have your head at a nice horizontal even level so that your forehead and chin are level. So that's what you need today, and eventually we might work with the rock, but I've decided not in today's class because the rock is such a good thing for balance with walking. So let's get started. And okay, so your warm-up, you're going to rub your hands together. You do this a lot. It brings your two sides of your brain together, brings your attention to your body, and it also makes me think we're going to have something great in store for us. So rub your hands. And we do a lot of stroking in some of our warm-ups. Let's stroke a little bit in the chest, because with walking, your chest is the ballast for your legs. And if your chest is stiff, if you're afraid, if you're having a lot of anxiety, that really makes for a stiff kind of walking. So we're just going to stroke gently to warm the tissues around your shoulders, around your heart area, breathing, and a little bit in the diaphragm as well, because the more fluid our chest is for walking, the easier the weight is distributed. So just a little warm up like that. And then of course, we're going to warm up the legs a little bit. And so there's a lot of different ways to warm up the legs. Today, we're going to do just a little bit of stroking of your legs. So stroke up and down, just maybe twice on each leg. Just saying hello. And especially if you've had knee injuries or hip injuries, this really is so nice for the lymph and the flow of fluids, just stroking your legs and kind of providing this gentle connection. Okay, now the other thing we're going to do today, a little bit different than some of the other classes, is you're going to make a very loose fist with your hands, and you're going to tap your bones, so through the muscles. So you're going to kind of gently beat against your legs. This is wonderful if you're about to do a hike or a sporting thing, just gently beating. And this wakes up the sense of your bones to the ground, okay? That's it, just that little bit. And now I'm gonna tap my heel a couple times and feel the bone of your heel, and you can kind of put one hand on your knee to sense the bone, very important for walking and for balance. Sense the bone of your heel, all right? And then one more time, stroking down to your feet and back up just a couple times to feel your legs. Okay, the principle of balance is many different things, and that's why we're going to spend a whole nother series on balance after this one. But one thing I've learned over many years in working with walking and working with some pretty bad injuries myself, I have found that loosening and lightening and connecting my chest to my hips and to my feet has made an enormous difference for my balance, and also reducing strain. So I rarely am sore in my legs after a strenuous hike up a mountain. Hardly any tension or soreness in my legs afterwards. Pretty amazing. And it's from these lessons. So we're going to lie on the floor next, and I'm going to proceed with giving you some fun lessons on the floor. We're going to work with the wall. So let's get on the floor. I'm going to put my little cushion here for my head. All right, here I am. And so I'm going to be talking upside down, but you know, what else is new? So I'm going to lie on my back here, and I'm going to put my feet on the wall, okay? And right now they're at a 90-degree level. And I just want to say, if you have difficulty with your legs in this position, with your knees at 90 degrees, that's how I have mine, you can move a little further back so they're not bent quite so much. Like if you just had a knee replacement and you can't bend at 90, you could have a little more angle in your knee. So I just want to make that clarification. But I'm going to be at 90 here myself. But if you need to, if you have some kind of restriction right now with your knee, you can make that angle a little bit more open by scooting back away from the wall. Oh, and this is so great as a position in general, especially if you have any kind of knee or hip pain. This is a wonderful position. You can, you know, slide your feet up and down on the wall. And what this is a different position in gravity where the weight of your leg now is seated in the hip sockets, okay? And with walking, this is really helpful. And so what we're going to do is just another warm up in this position. And I just want to say that if you are waking up in the morning, sometimes in bed, I do these things in bed and it's so great. This particular thing, and if you have a wall or, you know, the bottom, if a footboard or something on your bed, you can do this in bed. It's softer, but you can do some of these lessons in bed so much better on the floor. But just to say, you can do this in bed, particularly this warm up. So what we're going to do is we're going to shake one leg. This leg is on the wall. And believe it or not, just this will help your balance, okay? Because this is simulating standing on one foot and you're shaking your other foot in the air all around. And you don't have to watch this while you're doing this part of the lesson. You can just listen to me and I will describe it for you, but the video will be here for you as well. So you're going to lift your foot toward the ceiling and shake it one foot and then rest. And as you rest, just stroke your thighs a little bit. And you can kind of push your thighs into the wall, which is interesting to do. I'm going to tell you all the effects of things. You can feel for yourself what that does to push with your hands into your thighs. Press the bones so that you really feel something lengthening even in your low back. Let's do that one leg again. Reach it toward the ceiling. Shake, shake, shake. Really let the calves get floppy. If you need to support your leg with your hand, you can. The shaking leg. Let the foot relax so that it wobbles. Breathe and then rest. Okay, and you want your knees a little bit apart so you're not straining in your hips to do these things. All right, now let's lift the other foot up toward the ceiling. Doesn't need to be straight, the knees bent a little bit. Shake that foot, shake it all around. The other hand could be bracing, kind of pressing a little bit into the foot on the wall. This is so good for your lymph system. If you get swollen ankles or have circulation issues in your legs, it's good for your digestion. Okay, rest for a moment. Put the foot on the wall. Stroke your thighs a little bit with your hands. Okay, one more time with that other foot. Shake, shake, shake. Shake your foot in the air all around. Move it up and down. Shake, shake, shake. Shake it close to the wall, to the side. Say hello to the room with your foot, and then put that foot back on the wall and stroke your thighs again. And now push with both hands into the wall. So it's like you could, it's hard to do, but you can kind of push your butt down a little bit and also your legs into the wall without using your leg muscles, just the bones. Now let's take a break. We're going to lie on your back with your legs long. So turn sideways if you like, or scoot up to rest. I'm going to turn sideways here, and I'm going to lengthen my legs. If it's not comfortable in your low back, you can leave your knees bent to rest. But let's rest. I'm going to rest with my legs long for a moment and just feel the contact with the floor now. Sense how that is. Now, it's really nice to work with balance and walking on the floor like this, because you'll get a lot of sensory feedback of where your bones are, how things are aligned. So as you rest on the floor, I want you to notice, what bones do you feel? Do you feel first? I'm not going to say any names, but which bones do you sense first? And now I'm going to mention a few, but it might change if you do this lesson again and again. The bones you feel first may not always be the same. So sometimes you'll feel maybe it's your sacrum, the hip area first, or sometimes you might feel your head or your shoulder blades or your heels. And then you can get more specific as you do this lesson, like which side do you feel first? Is it the right side? Is it the left? Is it the same on each area? These are interesting things to notice, because the more you sense, the more things will actually respond to that awareness of sensing. This is what's so thrilling about awareness. Okay, let's come back to the wall. And you wouldn't think these little things are tiring, but neurologically they are. So this is why we rest. Okay, so now we're going to do a little deer practice. All right. So the deer, one of the many, many things I love about the deer is that when they're eating and moving through the woods, you'll see a deer and suddenly they take a step. And so they'll lift, let's all lift one knee away from the wall. And that shouldn't be too hard to do. And if it is, just you can hold that knee with your other hands. You can hold that thigh, but hold that knee just away from the wall. and now you're balancing on one leg, right? Okay, now let's just take that foot slowly and move it a little left and a little bit right. This isn't exactly what the deer do, but they're so good at like holding on three limbs and then moving one limb very carefully so they don't make noise as they step. But move your foot back and forth, and maybe a little closer to the wall and away from the wall, so toward your chest and away from your chest. And then very gently bring it back slowly to the wall, so that when you do, notice what part of your foot touches the wall first, okay? And really feel the wall with your foot. So let's gently pull your foot away from the wall and feel what that's like. And then once again, explore the space around you with that foot. So sideways and up and down. Don't try to, make something specific with this, but just feel where your foot wants to go around you. And then as you do that, can you feel the bones? All right. This is what's kind of challenging. The other bones that are on the floor and on the wall. Okay, now rest for a moment. So if you haven't done much of the Feldenkrais method or other lessons with me, you might not really have that training of feeling your bones, but we're going to get some training right now, okay? So take your right arm and I want you to just bang it on the floor straight. So lift it up and plop it down. So you bang your right arm, the whole arm. It's like a martial art hard fall practice. Hands flat, palm down. So everything lands at once. Poom, poom, poom. Okay, now rest. And can you feel when you rest, can you feel your right arm? It's near your side somewhere. It's not way out to the side. It's more by your hip somewhere comfortably, maybe a foot or so away or close, depends on how your shoulders are. And just bang it again. Let it come up, the whole arm, all together. Plop, plop, plop. Okay? And rest it again. Can you feel the bones now? Maybe you feel around your elbow or your hand or part of your upper arm bone or your lower arm bones. But is it different? Do you have more contact with that arm that you raised than the other one? Boy, I do. Okay. Now let's try the other arm and bang it on the floor. Bang, bang, bang. Whole arm, all plopping together. Plop, and then rest and feel the contact of the bones. Now, when people walk, they usually swing their arms, right? But let's do it again. Lift and plop, lift and plop, lift and plop. And now feel that arm. Is it coming into, you know, your awareness now? Can you feel a little bit, maybe your elbow, maybe your fingers more, maybe, you know, more of your upper arm. Okay. Now let's lift one foot away from the wall, the other foot that we haven't done, and move it around in space and feel your arms now. Okay. While you move that other foot around in space. Oh, and I don't know about you, but it's easier for me to breathe. Do you notice that? That feeling your arms in this contact with the floor makes it easier to move your foot around in space. Now bring the foot back to the wall and rest. All right. Now let's be a little more advanced. I'm going to have you take just the left foot, if that's the foot you were doing, and you're going to lift it away from the wall and take your right arm, and I want you just to bang it on the floor. Bang it on the floor. Flat, the whole arm, straight banging. And then keep moving your foot now. It's a little harder to do, but move your foot around, and wow, it's hard for me not to stop when my arm hits the ground. But see if you can keep your foot in motion and keep your arm straight, and see if you can get super smooth with moving your foot. Okay, now rest. And let's just try it with the other side. And anytime you need to lie down and rest, go for it, because we're kind of going on a long one here. Okay, other foot, other arm. So left arm and right foot. And we're going to move that foot. Oh my gosh. They're so funny how one foot will be very different than the other. And so you can practice. So obviously for me, this is a little different. Yeah, and notice all kinds of things to notice with the way your arm plops. Does it plop easily? Does your foot move continually, or does it pause? I tell you, I could work on this lesson many, many times and still keep improving. Okay, now let's rest on the floor. Come away from the wall and rest with your whole self, either legs long or legs bent. So just notice how that feels to rest. And even though that was a really simple lesson, which it's so great to start with a simple lesson, it's kind of challenging. Even if you're an elite athlete or dancer or movement, you know, martial artist kind of person, you can refine these abilities to connect, all right? And this makes, for me, I appreciate the animal kingdom so much for just the way they inspire me to refine my movements, because they move like, think about a squirrel, for instance, how agile they are. So rest for a little bit more. Feel the weight now of your bones. What's sinking now? We mentioned bones last time. Which ones are on the top of your list that sink into the floor? Breathing and resting. And you'll find with pretty much all my lessons, there's a balance between moving and resting. And the thing I love about nature, any animal or bird or insect that I've observed does this quality of movement and rest. And if we look to nature for balance of how we as humans can balance ourselves, it's so helpful. So as you rest now, feel what continues to drop into the floor. Breathe through your nose if you can. And we're going to come back to the wall once more with your feet on the wall. Okay, let's take one leg away from the wall. And now we're going to do a different kind of thing. You're going to push with both hands, and depending on how long your arms are and your shoulders, if you can drop your shoulders down to do this, you're going to push that other leg into the wall with both hands, and then hold it for a moment, push, 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 and then relax. Crazy, just simple little thing. Push, 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 and then relax. Okay, and then bring your foot back. But now, with both feet on the wall, and just feeling, do you feel now that leg that you were pushing, how that leg feels so solid? So let's take that leg now away from the wall, and you're going to push with both hands into your thigh. Push, 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 push into the wall. Push, push, push that leg down into the wall. So it's both arms pressing, palm over palm, pressing into the thigh to push the foot into the wall. And then relax, bring your arms back to your sides, and now both feet are on the wall. Okay. And now just move your knees in and out a little bit, so maybe they touch each other and they come apart. And you can do that so that your feet roll with the movement, or you can try to keep your feet flat. Let's see if we can keep our feet mostly flat. That's a little bit more difficult, and we're going to work on that. So don't you worry. Now move your feet up the wall a little bit, just an inch or two, and move your knees in and out, keeping the feet flat. And then move them back again. Move the knees in and out, keeping the feet flat. Move them down just a little bit more so they're a little lower than 90 degrees, and move your knees in and out, keeping your feet flat. And then bring them back up to kind of a neutral position. Now we're going to take your arms out to the side with the palms down. Just practice palms down, palms up. Let's bang the arms down and up, down, up. Straight arms out to the side, bang your arms, both of them, up and down, up and down, so that the palms are sometimes down, sometimes up. Okay, both together though. Both are up or both are down. Now start with the backs of the hands on the floor so the arms are outstretched to the sides. Let's bring one leg up toward the ceiling. You can maybe roll your foot around a little bit to relax, or shake it a little bit, just for a moment. Okay, now here we are with arms out to the side. Now take your foot that's up and move it side to side very gently. We're not trying to stretch here. We're trying to relax. we're trying to be like the deer, okay? Very relaxed. The deer are masters in efficiency. They don't spend more energy than they need to. And so be relaxed with your foot moving side to side. And now move it toward the wall and then toward your chest. And be relaxed, be relaxed. And then just play with different angles with your foot. And of course, if you are like a soccer player, what a great little warm up to really open your pelvis without stretching, just connecting neurologically. Okay, so different angles, and then straight forward and back, and then bring your foot back to the wall and feel the difference now. Take both arms and push onto that thigh of that leg that you just played with. Push into the wall, push into the wall. Okay, now take your arms back again so they're outstretched from your shoulders. Backs of your hands are against the floor. Take your other leg up in the air. Keep the one that you just did on the wall and move that one side to side very gently, side to side, and try to relax those arms as you go side to side. So they're very relaxed when you move that leg side to side, and then move the leg up and down, up and down. Easy, easy, easy. Breathe through your nose. We're not trying to stretch and we're not trying to exercise. We're trying to connect and feel the ease and grace of the deer, side to side again with the foot. And now diagonals. So in an angle, put your foot one way and the other way. Go easy. Don't go as far as you can. That's not the point of this right now. And then go the other diagonal. And again, this is one you can do in bed, although it's so much better on the floor. Okay, and now let's bring your foot back. Take both hands and press into the thigh. Press, 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 press. Nice. Now, both hands out to the side and then just lift one foot and gently bring it down. Lift one foot so you bring your knee toward your chest a little bit and bring it down. Lift one foot, but you don't necessarily bring your knee with your foot goes a little toward the ceiling when you bring it to your chest. Does that make sense? Foot comes off and down, off, and try to really relax your shoulders now. Okay, we're going to look to the right, turn your head to the right, keep moving your feet away from the wall one at a time. Roll your head from side to side while you lift your feet, just like you're looking at one side of the street and one side of the street, or one side of the room. Look with your eyes, relax your chest, lifting your legs, and then let's roll to your side and rest on your back. Stretch out. Feel the contact now with the floor. Notice which bones, you can hear my voice, that one really opened my chest, but feel the contact now. If you want, you can talk and see how your voice sounds because it's different, but feel the contact now with your whole body. What parts of you have settled? What bones do you sense on the floor now? So gentle. And these lessons will be gentle, just like the deer. All right, let's come back up, and you can sit or you can stand. So you can sit or you can stand, but let's come back up. And I'm going to stand just for a moment because that's what we're doing here. We're walking. Okay, but right now, stand for a moment. And I want you to just kind of go on both toes and tap on your heels a little bit, tap a little bit. And then you can kind of lift one knee and the other knee just to feel your feet and walk around a little bit. Just see how it is to walk. And there should be a quite a different feeling in your chest now, a feeling on top of your feet now, which is what the deer gives us, is this really amazing sense on top of our feet. Okay, and I'm going to sit here, but you can keep walking. And I'm going to finish this part of the class, and then we're going to have time for question, answer, and bonus material. Walk around and sense the difference, particularly do your arms hang differently. And this is a big part of walking. If our arms are relaxed, they are actually more in balance. We can use them better, and the legs aren't fighting the arms and the chest. There's a harmony between our chests and the rest of the body, really. So this series, we're going to be really working with really relaxing your chest for balance, and then little by little we're going to be challenging your balance so that you'll feel so much more confident on your feet, and your feet will be much more connected to the ground like the deer. So let's get ready now for questions and answers, and we'll continue on with that part of the class. Yeah, so people who don't know, Ruthie Alon is a master Feldenkrais teacher. I've actually studied with her as well. I haven't taken her Bones for Life, but I did study with her, and she's a marvelous teacher and very innovative. I love her innovations. And yeah, and so I've taken my work on the wall. It's just my own thing that I've developed, and then working with the animals. And actually Ruthie does a lot too with the animals, I know. We're going to be playing a lot with not just the deer, but the deer is so informative to me from my interactions with deer over my life, and the quality, the essence that they have. Just like last series, we worked with the flower essence, and the deer have a quality almost like flowers, you know, of being gentle, and they're survivors. And so they know how to survive, and they're always being hunted, you know, and yet they really seem to enjoy their lives. You know, they are able to manage stress in a way that I think is informative right now in our culture, that if we can learn from them, it might calm us down a little bit, is my thought. So one thing about balance, so if we try harder to balance, it actually makes our balance worse. And so it's an interesting thing. With balance, we actually want to take away effort as much as we can. And so like if you're doing those exercises, those balance exercises where you're standing on one foot and you're trying to hold it for 30 seconds and then a minute, there's a limit to how good you can get with that without improving the alignment and your neural connections, okay? And my background with martial arts and so many other things, the nature stuff, big time. When you work with opposing forces a little bit and relaxing, that's what helps improve our balance. And that's why the next series, we're going to work with the elements for that. But this ability, and that's why I had you press on your thigh, okay? That did something. It wasn't a lot, but it neurologically connects you without you having to hold your muscles still, okay? And so these pathways through the body, it's like a web, and how we can feel connected from all different ways. And like if you've had a stroke or a brain injury or a bad car accident or a bad fall or a bad trauma in your life, a lot of times it could just be a death in the family where it just knocks us over and our balance is off. We're literally off balance physically. And so this reconnecting the web of support on many levels really relaxes. So you lie there on the floor and you really relax, but you feel the connection and the support. This is what I love about this kind of work. And nature, a lot of times just hanging out in nature balances us because we feel the interconnections of things, and we feel supported. Yeah. Good. It's a very deep subject, the subject of balance. It's In philosophy, it's like, Aristotle talked about it so much. Most of the philosophers talk about it, and look at the I Ching, the Tao Te Ching, and so many Eastern philosophers talk about balance. It's a very deep, deep, deep topic. Look at government, for instance, right? How do you balance the budget? How do you balance the parties? How do we come into balance as a country right now? Yeah. And so our walking is for human beings, walking is the most human thing we do, is walking. It defines us as an animal, our human walk. Other animals walk differently than we do. And we have this very upright walk. It's, you can see a human and know that's a human being, because of how we have to move through the world. Unless, you've lost your legs and this and that, you're still human. But in general, that is the human being's locomotion, is walking. And we actually balance our nervous systems as we walk. So this is helpful if you have emotional, mental disorder kind of thing. Walking and playing with balance when we walk like this will actually help our emotions. It'll help our nervous system calm. It's phenomenal. How did you feel? How did you feel watching that and having that interaction? Because those of you who have deer nearby, definitely, let's see what happens in this series. A lot of times it calls the deer in, and I'm not surprised this happened. You're gonna have some deer encounters, but tell me how you felt. Awe is a wonderful word. And the camouflage, the deer have this ability to be so still, they completely disappear in their environment, and their hair is, even if there's not like brown or whatever around the environment, their hair is the perfect kind of camouflage because it has this depth of field. They disappear. They could be standing in the middle of the grass and you wouldn't even notice them because of the way they have this art of disappearing. It's phenomenal. And they can be so still. And the stillness is an art of balance. And so a lot of prey animals like rabbits are also phenomenal at being still. Just beautiful. I love watching rabbits. But the deer, they can be still, and then sometimes, they'll move an ear a little bit, maybe, if they hear a sound, but, or they can be still with just one foot in the air for a really long time. And, it's fun to see. I don't, like to test them too much, but fun to see how long they can do it, and you can kind of practice how still can you be and who's going to break the stillness first and this kind of thing. But to be empty in your mind like the deer, they're very empty. They're just like their awareness is just really far. They can hear for a really long way with these giant, telescoping ears, and to just sense their awareness. If you get the chance to have a connection with a live deer, to feel their awareness, it's expansive, and it has to be. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, I love that. The deer that I have seen, they just have this amazing ability to be feeding until the last possible minute. They know how much time they need to move on to be safe, and they understand what distance they need and where their exits are. And so they can relax fully. Well, as fully as, who knows, I'm not a deer, but it looks like they're pretty relaxed from my observations. And then, they can feel that pressure of the territory coming in, and they're like, time to move, to create that space again. It's a little bit like what we're experiencing in the COVID time at the moment of this class, of how you get close to somebody and then you kind of move back, and we're learning this type of weird awareness with this time period of now. But at any time period, whether we have infection or something, our nervous systems get trained to sense threat and safety. And that deer probably felt you were safe, you know, and could pretty much relax. You know, you didn't have the hunter, you know, kind of energy, predator energy. I do want you to be aware this next week. If you have areas that there are deer, great areas, you know, go for a walk, and even just be open to connecting with the deer and seeing what messages come from the deer. Maybe it happens in your dreams, that you have a dream about a deer. Notice that, write it down, bring it to class. Or you have memories of your interactions with deer, because all of this, it might bring something for the class that is a surprise. So that's one of the homework. And the other homework is to play with the wall a little bit with this lesson. You can, you know, you'll have access to the recording, but you can also play a little bit with the wall. And if you've had interactions with deer, you can kind of pretend like you're being still for a moment and listening, yeah, and rolling your head and listening against the wall as you feel your back, as you feel your body, so that you really start to make these connections with your arms and your legs with the environment. So as humans, you know, we just have our feet, but when we start to connect this whole system into walking, your walking will have a wakefulness. It'll have a sensitivity that is going to be more responsive, and you're going to see more in the environment. You're going to connect more with the environment. And we're so like tuned out as a culture right now, you know, with our earbuds, listening to podcasts, and like, or texting while we're walking, you know, and looking at this little device, or indoors most of the time, because our lives are revolved around being indoors. So see if you can take time to go walking outside and see, if pretend to be a deer when you walk. How are the deer moving through the landscape? When would you stop? How do you feel where you're supposed to move? Yeah, because the deer have this amazing sense. They're smelling for food, but they're also moving through these tunnels of safety where they can be comfortable. And likewise, this is such great self-defense practice. As we have that kind of sensitivity of the deer, we'll be able to navigate much more calmly through challenging situations, challenging environments. It's so useful. And the deer is such a great teacher. So you got some homework. Come back with stories or reports. Thank you so much. Yeah. Have a good rest of your day.